Welcome, Alison.
Yep, welcome back.
Hi, Shane.
Michael. And Steve. We've got Henry.
Morning again.
Morning, Steve. Hi, Michael. Again.
Hello, Helen.
So we're short Phil and Hillary.
Phil had that other meeting too,
Yeah.
so he made it late. Yeah.
Two minutes.
Oh, Hillary's an apology today. I've just seen it. Sorry, my fault.
That's right.
Yep, I've just got it there now. She texts me.
So then with your colleague, so when we get to 10 word that, you know. Oh, he's Phil. Perfect time.
Great.
Welcome, Phil.
All right, back again.
Good. Perfect timing. Right. Good to go.
Good morning and welcome to our reconvened council meeting from yesterday. Today we have two apologies, one from Councillor Campbell and one from Councillor Humphrey. So just to go through the purpose of our meeting today is to receive the written and oral submissions in relation to the draft bylaws and policies, particularly around freedom camping bylaw, the public places bylaw, the stock movement and grazing bylaw, the revocation of part 5 of the traffic safety and road use bylaw, and the stock underpass policy. So yesterday we heard from a number of our submitters, and this morning we are going to hear from a few more. So how this works is that each of our speakers has been given 15 minutes. They have 10 minutes to present to us the highlights of their submission and the key points they wish to make to us, and then we will open it up for questions from our team to our submitter. Councillor Ford.
Your Worship, do you need a motion to approve the apologies?
If so, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Ford.
Yes, please.
Yes, we do. Thank you. And Councillor Short as a seconder.
So I move that the apologies of Councillor Campbell and Councillor Humphrey be accepted.
Thank you. And that was seconded by Councillor Short. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Against, that motion is carried. Thank you for reminding me of that. So having set the basis there, we'll move into our first submitter, and welcome to Anna.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for your submission and for joining us today to speak to it. So your submission is in relation to our stop movement bylaw. So I'll hand it over to you. We have your submission, we have read it, but you're welcome to speak to it.
Thank you. You have to forgive me. I'm slightly nervous, so you have to just forgive me. But
Please don't be. We're all on Zoom and we're all in this together.
okay, thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you regarding my submission on the issue of goat tethering. So far, over 7,000 people in New Zealand have signed a petition via change.org requesting the prohibition of tethering goats on roadsides and elsewhere. Goats are highly intelligent, kind and incredibly friendly herd animals with a willing and cheeky nature who need the company of other herd animals. They are not as hardy as most people think, as they do not have a covering of fat on the underside of their skin and therefore get cold very quickly. They're also not waterproof and they hate the rain. Imagine training your pet or even your child in the open without adequate food, water or shelter and expecting them to be happy. What is it within us that thinks it is okay to chain a defenseless animal up for its entire life without any other care, company, attention or freedom? The goat has been given no choice with this enforcement, and would you choose this way of life? Goats are not lawn mowers. Why can't people just use a lawnmower or a weed whacker? If the land is too dangerous, then it is too dangerous to put a goat on due to the possibility of self-strangulation. Goats struggle to process just grass to eat. They are natural browsers, similar as such to deer, and goats need a wide variety of plants to maintain health. They're very good at eating noxious weeds, as their saliva has the ability to detoxify the plant toxins in an incredibly clever way. They suffer from huge worm burdens if kept on grass alone, which we would not accept in our beef and lamb industries, as it would be considered cruel to impose such a burden on them, along with a consequent detriment to the meat industry due to unhealthy and malnourished animals entering the food chain. So why are goats any different? By being tethered, they will also not only suffer from starvation and malnutrition, but also from heat exhaustion, exposure to the cold, and the possibility of self-strangulation. They're a sitting duck when it comes to being attacked either by roaming dogs or people wishing them more harm. Many goats quietly suffer years or entire lives, a lonely, sad, depressing life, only to be relieved by a person perhaps 2 or 3 times a week, stopping by and making sure they are still alive, literally for a matter of minutes, and to top up their water, if they're one of the lucky ones. Bear in mind that this water could also be knocked over very soon after it has been refilled, leaving the goat thirsty for an indefinite amount of time. It is known that goats tethered are very friendly. Do you wonder if perhaps they're absolutely desperate for company? They have no other animal company to live with or play with. And yes, goats play. Goats should be able to display their normal herd behaviour. They cannot do this if they are tethered and alone. We don't expect sheep, beef, or even alpacas to live a life alone, as we know they are, and therefore promote the fact that they are herd animals and should be kept together. You'd be hard pushed to even buy an alpaca as a single animal, as they can actually get so depressed they've been known to die of loneliness if kept alone. So why again do we think this is right to do this to an equally, if not more intelligent herd animal? What has a goat done to deserve to be treated this way? And why do we allow it? We do it because we can, and apparently some of us don't know any better. And if we do, we ignore it, as most animals are wrongly considered not to have feelings or emotions. But you only have to surf the internet and Facebook to be bombarded with the actual opposite to see how misjudged animals and their emotions have been. We all smile at a happy pig or rescued puppies from earthquakes, yet we drive past one of the most miserable and sad existences in the animal world every day. Even animals bred for their meat are treated better. At least they have the freedom to roam without being tied to the ground or fence and are able to be part of a herd, even if it is for a short time. The time is now to make these changes and ban the tethering of goats on roadsides and in fact anywhere. It is an outdated practice which is cruel, abhorrent, and in this day and age, it is also not excusable anymore to say we don't know any better. We do, you do, and we need to make it happen. If you're struggling to believe what I'm saying, then I suggest you go and spend some time with a kind and friendly goat on the roadside and perhaps put yourself, your pet, or your child in their place and see if you could walk away knowing you're leaving it to be bored, depressed, in danger, malnourished, and very, very lonely. Yet you as a council and human beings have the ability to stop this. The goats cannot help themselves. They have done nothing to deserve tethered life. I know goats can be difficult to keep in a paddock as they're incredibly good jumpers and they're very inquisitive. But this is no excuse anymore. If you really wanted a pet goat, you would make your paddocks goat proof. They cannot be considered a loved pet if you're prepared to tether them and you clearly don't know goats or goat care. They rely on us to help them. All animals are programmed to survive. These goats are being forced to endure life. They don't enjoy it. Please help. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you very much. I love the way you've put all that information together so well. So I'm going to open it up for the rest of our team to, if they have any questions of your submission. Councillor Short.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was a very informative and heartfelt submission, and I think we all heard what you said. One of the things that I'm interested in is there would be quite a lot of tethered goats in our district. If we change the bylaw and people were no longer allowed to do that, what would you recommend is the process? That how do we transition the goats that are on the side of the road now? The owners may simply take them into their own property and tether them within their own property. What recommendations would you have for goats who might have to have a change of lifestyle for the better, we hope?
Yeah, thank you. I think on the first instance, you need to reach out to these people and say if they have any problems in transitioning their goats to new homes or new areas or new paddocks, you know, that we're able to help. There are various groups around the country who can step in and assist with these problems. You know, and a lot of the goats that have been tethered from a very young age don't know how to jump. You'd be very surprised at the amount of goats that you can see on the roads that, you know, that don't know how to behave as goats, and therefore you put them in a paddock and they would stand there because they don't know how to, you know, how to interact with themselves or anybody else or anything else. And so the first thing probably would be goats would just stand in a paddock and would walk so far as their tether would have allowed them to for however many previous years until they got to grips with the fact that they are free. You know, you may encounter some problems with goats jumping out, but that's the whole idea of a goat. You know, if you take on a goat as a pet, you know, and you research all the you know, the ins and outs of animal care before you go and purchase an animal. You know, we certainly do if you buy puppies or dogs or, you know, or horses. You know, it's behavioural issues and patterns that you might encounter before you have them. You know, but because goats are so compliant with what we expect of them, we think that it's that they're okay being tethered, whereas actually if you know a goat's personality, you know that they're far from okay. And, you know, I have two of my own goats and they are, you know, friendly and white goats, their names are, and they are just superb together. You know, they roam a forest, they play, you know, they headbutt, they do things that goats do. So yeah, it wouldn't be easy, but there are people you can reach out to help with that transition, certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is a good point. If we need to go through that transition stage, Councillor Belsky. Just unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you for the submission. My concern is the goats that I have seen on the road, and I've seen a lot myself, I seem very contented, but I do understand there's dogs and of course thieving. But how do we get on with this big drought we've just gone through or going through, where the goat loves a bit of roughage and out on the and they've got no feed left in the farm or on their livestock block. They got no money really to buy feed, so